SFJ 4x4 Studios presents
in my oversized four-wheel drive Jeep.
a Jeep podcast starring industry experts.
Pure monosity. What? Say that again.
With mad scientist Scott Brown,
Use my drill press as a sort of lathe.
our host Neil Simpson,
If one light goes out, they all go out.
filled with shenanigans.
We are really professional with Jeeps.
This is I Speak Jeep.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever, however you are joining us. This is the I Speak Jeep podcast presented by SFJ4x4.com. My name is Neil, and I'm very sure of it. And I am joined in Grandma's Couch Studio by two fine gentlemen.
The maddest mad scientist / engine detailer squeak remover.
I appreciate every bit of that that you were taking care of, just so you know.
Yeah.
And the producer, Jeff Tremonti.
The Italian Stallion. And we're in Grandma's Couch Studio on it should be a kind of a run-of-the-mill Monday in August, but we are preparing to head to Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion. Now, you know what's a funny thing? Now, I'm not going to ask you because you wouldn't know anyways. Jeff, how do you spell Smoky Mountain?
Smokey.
So apparently, that's wrong.
Yeah, it's just the Y, no E, right?
It is just the Y.
Yep.
Because that particular mountain range is just SMOKY.
Yep.
And how often, if you were to go to the Book of Faces or the YouTubes and the internets, it will be spelled with an EY. And I had a good friend in the industry, Josh Rupert from Iron Rock Off-Road, he was just like totally dogged me the other day. I texted him and he was like, try it again. And I was like, what the heck do you mean try it again? He was like, spell it again. And I was like, Smokey, SMOKEY, which is the name of my cat, just anybody wants to know. And he was like, nope, still not right. And I was like, he was just totally busted me, you know what I mean? But yes, it's SMOKY.
Yep.
Smoky Mountains. And just so you are all, particularly privy to it, depending on when you hear this podcast, whether it be streamed into your ear holes or on the YouTubes, you can look for me or our Jeeps. And we will have Jeeps displayed with different industry partners. We have J5, that gnarly, over-the-top fire engine red Gladiator, Rubicon, Eco Diesel on tons and 44s, thanks to Mickey Thompson. And it will be in the Iron Rock Off-Road booth for the duration of the event, sporting their 8-inch long arm lift kit, which, if you do or don't know, does not exist for a diesel. That's a testament to what our team here is able to do. And we will have the internet famous, hashtag not a restoration, Swamp Donkey, as restored by the Mad Scientist in that beautiful Loden green paint job that you've seen at a number of events. That's the one at Toledo Jeep Festival 2024. I lifted up. Jeffrey had made us some weight-supporting Dana Spicer crates, and I suspended the Jeep, set it on the crates, and it was displayed kind of, hovering.
I still remember that because you said, hey, can you make me a crate to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I got you. And I made it. And you're like, cool, now do it again. I want another one.
Yeah. So we had the Jeep totally stacked up on the crates. It was pretty cool. People took a lot of pictures of that, talk about it, pretty often for going to events and stuff. We won't be doing anything that elaborate at the show. I'll be honest, I'll just be happy to get there. And then I'm hauling Cookie Monster down as well. Darn thing still doesn't run right, but whatever. It's like my own personal cross to bear at the moment. I've got like 3 electrical problem Jeeps that I've taken personal responsibility for. I own the fact that they're not running. That's on me, not on anybody else. The rest of the guys are busy as snot. And I've taken responsibility for these electrical jobs, and they are just kicking my butt. with that said, I got to take a break. I got to get out there to where the Jeepers are. We've always said we want to meet the Jeepers where they're at, and so we'll have these Jeeps in Pigeon Forge. So look for us there and swing by. I'll be. Oh, I didn't mention hashtag not a restoration. Hashtag not a restoration will be at the Crown Automotive booth on display.
Yes.
So look for me in either of those booths. Let's selfie. Let's talk. And we'll tell lies about our Jeeps and our adventures that we have or haven't done, and it'll be a good time.
So I'm going to jump to the comments real quick because we've got Nate saying good morning. He was first again. But we're getting written up today because he said y'all late. And
I was gonna say, Nathan, we weren't, man. I thought we were.
He goes, it was only a minute today. So
We had technical
we're getting
difficulties.
a warning this time. Last time it was a full write-up.
Last time he got salty at us.
Yeah, I know. Joe said good morning. Robert said morning. Bill McWilliams said good morning. Billy Joe says good morning. Bill McWilliams said, I hope everyone had a great weekend. We'll talk about that at the end of the episode. Charles says good morning. And then Jeannie's on her way down to Smoky Mountain right now. Can't wait to see Cookie Monster.
Outstanding. And, good morning to all of you. Last comment just came in. Do we have any Sims Family Jeep shirts? We absolutely do. You can log on to sfj4x4.com. Check out our merch section there. We'd love to sell and ship you a shirt. If you'll be in Smoky Mountain, I'll just bring it with me and I'll hand deliver it. I'll personally deliver it to you.
So
Save on the shipping costs.
that's assuming you get your order in today.
True that. I leave tomorrow.
Yeah. Then today we're going to talk about mud tires. But before we get to that,
We are talking about mud tires. There's
Before-
a couple songs about that.
oh boy. Before we get to that,
Yes.
and before Neil starts singing about them,
Let me pull up the lyrics. Mud on the tire. There's. I'm. Here it comes. Here it comes. Go ahead,
there it
Jeff.
is.
Try and get to it.
So
Try
we're
and get to it
gonna-
before I
I'm
do.
going to read through some of the reviews that have come in. I actually remember to grab them and bring them back to the studio this week so that I could read them.
Mhm.
So you just trumped Neil because he can't interrupt now because we forgot him last week.
Well, I literally had them sitting printed out on my desk. So last week after the episode, I went and grabbed them and brought them back here. And then a couple more came in at the end of the week. I printed them and brought them straight back here so that they were ready to go. One of the reviews titled Awesome Show. Review, one of the best off-road shows. Great specific Jeep content with lots of technical repair info. Love the shenanigans as well. Keep it up.
Woo woo.
Then there is, let's see, great Jeep info. I have learned about many different Jeep shows to put on my list to visit. This one is intelligence at its finest. These guys are great. Yes, they're all that in a party-sized bag of chips. They know their stuff and thoroughly enjoy sharing their knowledge with the Jeep community.
They've got to be listening to a different show.
That's what I was thinking.
Wow.
Right? And then we've got Casual Jeep Talk. Thanks for an entertaining and informative podcast. Best Jeep podcast out there. Genuinely entertaining. These guys are full of information. And
Full
then,
of something.
and then we've got Quality Podcast. This podcast is perfect for anyone interested in anything Jeep and or off-road. The guys at SFJ are extremely knowledgeable about pretty much everything Jeep, as well as being entertaining. They also have an awesome listener who can be the first to comment live whenever he wants. So tune in live on Mondays and join the race.
Who that is.
Wonder who, I read through this one and I went, who can be first whenever he wants? What does he know that we don't know about being able to log in first? He knows some kind of
It's
hack.
got a hack. I don't know.
Inside job.
Is right? It's spectacular.
Something.
We appreciate everybody who is taking time to, review and rate the show. It's our understanding, and gosh, we really appreciate. We're pushing, just shy of 100 countries listening to us, 6 out of the 7 continents, and one of the things we were looking at the metrics, which are awesome and well supported. And then we were kind of comparing them, and we were like, man, what? There seems to be like a little piece that's missing. And we started doing a little bit of digging and research, and we started comparing ourselves. And not that it's a competition, not that it's anything. We wish the other podcasts out there the best of that they can do and whatnot. But as a kind of as a group who is always trying to do a little bit better, right? Do one more thing to make ourselves a little bit better. we were like, well, what is, it seems to be like something's missing. And I think it was Jeff goes, 'cause that's kind of Jeff's territory. He goes, we really don't have that many reviews or rankings. Then we started looking going, oh, that actually is a big part of the metric of whether or not these streaming platforms rank or support pushing the podcast out to other individuals.
Yeah.
And so while we are consistently ranking in, this arbitrary 3 to 5 top off-road Jeep talk podcasts, we had very few reviews.
Very few.
And now, thanks to you all, that is changing. So thank you so much for making that a priority and taking that time. We're going to give you some swag because of that.
And Nate said he didn't know who that reviewer was, but he likes him. Andy and James Highlands are saying, where do we rate the show? You can go on to iTunes podcast and rate the show right there, or go on to Spotify and you can rate the show there. I believe Spotify only lets you do a star review, doesn't let you actually do a written review.
Go to iTunes and write a review.
Yeah,
and that's
iTunes.
not Andy and James. That's just Andy.
Oh, that's just Andy. Okay. I don't know. It says Andy and James.
No, it doesn't say Andy and James. That's his middle name.
Oh, is it?
Come on, Jeffrey. That's his middle. Yeah, Jeff, God bless it. He's only been a customer for, 11 years.
I don't know.
Built one of the gnarly. He and his dad built one of the gnarliest TJs
Why do
the
you guys
internets have seen.
Why do you let me produce the
I
show?
don't understand, because you're really good with microphones and sound quality.
Yes. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
So going back to comments, Nate did come in and say, I love my Canada Cleaver MT2s. We got Jeannie saying, am I going to have to play Where's Neil this time?
Always you have to play
Always.
Where's Neil.
Matt was saying good morning. Jeannie said she wrote hers out but didn't have time to get it into you.
That's fine.
And
We
then
understand.
that, I think, catches us up on the comments for now.
Sure.
And
I have a secret for how you find Neil. You just yell Marco really loud.
Oh, I can't control
and
myself.
he can't control himself, and he yells Polo back.
that's true. That's true.
We do that at the shop all the time
we
because we
literally-
have built a maze,
We literally did it at SEMA to him.
as you should.
Oh, it was great.
I can't control myself. It's an instinctual reaction. It must be said. It's not. That's not even a fallacy. Oh dear. Why am I so predictable in that regard? Why am I so weird? People don't understand. I just
This
don't.
is not an act.
It's not an act.
None of this is. That's part of the problem.
That is. Wowzers. Well,
So we did not choose a winner for this round yet, but we will by next episode have a winner selected. We'll announce who that is. So if you want to get a couple last minute reviews in, now's your time.
there you go. But we're going to keep it going. We've got a minimum of 2 crappy purple straps.
Yep, you got two rounds. The first round will be chosen by next week, and then we'll do it again.
There you go. So we got time. Keep bringing them in. We are going to be talking, mud tires. And if you do want to hear about us personally and those types of things, we encourage you to stay tuned through the outro, and we'll let you know what our weekend looked like. But in the interim, as we mentioned, Smoky Mountain, that will be happening soon. I am intending to power drive through from the end of the event. A lot of people don't understand and kind of think that, like, I don't know, things just kind of miraculously, wave the wand and things happen. But myself, the team here, and obviously other vendors, we power drive to and from these events, and then we're back to work on Monday. So the plan is, as of next week, pending everything goes well, we'll be podcasting again. So
And-
tune in to hear how that went.
And just coming down the pipeline, Labor Day weekend. So Labor Day, we will not have an episode.
That's correct.
So I don't know. We may have something pre-recorded. It's kind of to be determined based on current schedules of everybody. But
Yes.
Well, and just because things go sideways doesn't mean we don't have a podcast, because we've had him from Florida. And
No, I was
from
going to
the
say, I was in Charleston,
Carolinas.
South Carolina, podcasting from a sunroom.
phone.
It was wonderful.
So
you
we
know?
will prevail.
We will. We will.
one way or another, there'll be an episode next week.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know about Labor Day. We won't be live for sure.
That's
Yeah.
true.
There may or may not be a pre-recorded.
There you go. There you
Yes.
go. So, I don't know why I feel the need to say mud tires and mud tires every time.
That's just a nihilism.
I guess.
Did you ever
So-
find the lyrics?
No, I didn't. I stopped looking.
That's good.
So I think I have to we were looking for a topic, and
Yes.
this popped into my head because we recently traded in my wife's old car and got a new car, and I put just tires on it, and the people at the dealership were like, "Oh, those are awful meaty tires," and I looked at them like they had 4 heads and were strange. So I thought we need to talk about tires
Perspective of tires.
and the
right?
differences on tire treads and why or why not you would want certain tires. So I thought we'd start with the first and fun mud tires.
And
As
I
Neil
thought that
said.
was a fantastic suggestion on your part because we have a customer in, and I gave them multiple options for tires that they could pick. And we have talked about different types of tires in construction in the past. Obviously, we had a conversation with Mickey Thompson that, talked all about tires and, performance and whatnot. And in the past, we've touched on hybrid tires, and we've shared our ups and downs of all terrains and whatnot. But we're gonna focus in today on mud tire tread design and technology.
And kind of the pros and the cons of those and why or why not you maybe want mud tires. And I'll admit, nothing looks as good as a mud tire on a Jeep.
Correct.
No matter where it's at, it could be covered in mud, it could be at the show and shine, it could be going down the road with that hum. Looks awesome. It's what you expect.
And then I was mentioning this customer. I gave them it's a plow truck and a daily driver.
Yep.
And I gave that
You wanted
individual
meaty tires.
Yeah, and I gave that individual 3 or 4 different options for tires and hybrid and things that would perform well in sleet, slush, ice, rain, snow that you would be using this thing predominantly in. And they literally, after kind of going through the negotiation process, pushed back and they wanted a mud tire. And I
Yep.
was like, I don't recommend this, but here it is, and that's the one they chose.
So it's funny, you were out, but he actually came in because he wanted to see his meaty tires.
Oh,
Yep.
oh,
Yep.
I took him over. He's like, "Yep, those will do."
wow,
Yep. That happened.
wow! I wasn't ready. Okay.
So let's talk about the design and function of a mud tire.
didn't say
What
it right.
makes them different from an all-terrain or
We can't proceed until you say mud tire right.
Come on, Jeff. Come on, Jeff. Lame. Lame.
Mud tires.
Mud tire.
There you go.
All
Good
right,
for 'em.
so you got to talk about the void ratio on that. So Scott, what?
The void ratio?
Yep.
Well, obviously, the more voids, the more gnarly off-road points me and Neil give you. And we all, like Neil and I grew up with sadly, it wasn't any Jeeps because they were all rusted into the ground at that point, but they were jacked up Chevy square bodies and Fords on TSLs and boggers.
Yep.
And you would hear them for at least 4 minutes before
They actually came into the line of sight. You would hear them humming. Man, that Mickey we turned out a Jeep last week, and they didn't know. The owners didn't know what you don't know until you know it, right?
Yeah.
And so we did a whole bunch of maintenance service. But by that time, they had Mickey Thompson, beautiful Mickey Thompson. I want to say MTZ tires.
Yes.
And they were just chopped.
Very.
They were
chopped.
just very chopped. So we rotate them around and we lowered the air pressure, which actually just
makes them sing more.
makes them sing more. And I've got to tell you, I think that that Jeep probably registers on a Richter scale right now. It just hums, and I think the ground shakes as the paddles go
Yes.
down the highway as
But
it drives.
They still can't compare to a bogger
Oh,
on pavement.
I love boggers on pavement.
So what we're talking about with voids, and if you're in a bogger, it's fist-sized
Yes.
between the lugs.
Well, because you need to be able to drive over a Volkswagen Beetle and sling it out from the tread
preferred.
design, right? And it just needs to it needs to just be schlepped out of the tread design.
And that was, kind of what started off-road tires. There were very little options back then. So you just kind of had the TSLs and that kind of stuff that you could go to. And
Well, wait. You had groundhogs.
Well, okay, you did have groundhogs. There was other brands, but not as iconic
Correct.
as a TSL.
As the Super Swamper.
yeah,
Right.
Super Swamper would just kind of broke the mold and did their own thing, and it kind of made the rest of the companies take notice, sit back on their heels, and go, "Huh, somebody made a tire that I could lose my small child in.
Yes.
Maybe I should try to make one as well."
Correct.
And yes, we had the Groundhogs, and Winston made some mud tires, and BFG, pulled their head out of the sand pretty early and tried to make their version of the mud train, and they made it forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that got old, they did it some more. And then when that got old, they changed the lug pattern.
Well, I'm gonna and in true big business fashion, Firestone still basically makes the exact same tread design. Everybody else has moved on.
Yeah.
But the Firestone Destination MT is
Yep.
this god-awful, horrible, stinking design. And whoever has a handshake agreement at Jeep is like, we should still put those on Willys packages.
Absolutely.
And
not.
it's
so that we can take them right off.
I have never seen
God.
a tire chopped so bad in my life.
Yep. There's a reason the whole industry has moved on.
When I was shopping for my Gladiator, I was wanting a Willys package. I literally would go up. Oh, it's got Firestones on it. Never mind.
Nope. MoveOn.com.
Yep. So the void is in between all the lugs, gives you the bigger gaps. It helps clean out the tires, mud, rock, clay, whatever. But then it also gives you a more aggressive sidewall as well.
It does, which is where all the brownie points are won.
And that's a big piece that vehicles, as far as tire technology over the years, we have not specifically had a high focus on sidewall design up until, air quotes, recently.
Yeah.
The crown or the crest of the tread design used to be, more of a sheer face when it came over to the sidewall. Basically, you would have your primary tread design that the load of the vehicle would travel on, and that would contact the terrain or road surface, and then the sidewall just kind of drops right off. But those particular tires did not perform particularly well in off-road situations. Now, we did have the caveat to this was within the military and then eventually the civilian market, we had the NDTs,
Yes.
which were not good in any direction. Non-directional tires, which were not good in any direction, is the joke.
Correct. Unless
But
you want to drift on water.
but the theoretically the sidewall design did crest over the crown or the side.
Well, depends on what one you were in. World War II, they were a little bit more shoulder.
That's true.
In the Korean War, they're just they saw an airplane tire and they're like, we should do that and put tread on it.
Yes.
And that's what they did. It's
Bul-
very round.
Very round, very bulbous, very balloonish. And the NDT, at least in the early years, and still produced by Coker, you can get ones that have some of this sidewall lug, but it's not pronounced. It's not refined. As we now have a high focus on this real estate on the outside of the tire that actually has a lot of benefit when
Well,
you are off-road.
especially when aired down.
Yes.
And really, again, back in the day with those jacked up trucks, all we were worried about was the tread kind of that we had on the tire. And then we realized as that market got saturated, how do we identify ourselves? How do we make someone go up and go, that's cool, I need that? And that's where the side bites and the fancy script names and the bold things on the tire really started to catch on in the 90s, where people were, putting flames on tires and they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff, rocks on tires. I saw all kinds of stuff. They're trying to make you take notice and make you want to put the tires on, because let's be honest, we weren't doing it for quietness. We had to take the rule book for tires and just throw it out the window, and then the dog may have done something to it out in the yard. We didn't care about quiet. We didn't care about life, tread wear, any of that. We were pretty much doing it for looks. Now, real quick on voids. Why do we want a big void on a mud tire? Well, that's because we're basically, imagine your tire is a shovel and you're just shoveling your way through your obstacle.
Yep.
And that's why self-cleaning tires are a thing, because they throw the mud out of the tread so they can grab another handful of mud and keep on going. If you ever had an AT in the mud, like I have, once they fill up with mud, you don't have any traction.
Yep. And I was going to say the whole look thing. I mean, I would add to that caveat is that you had the kind of the extreme ends. You were just doing it for function, right? There was a group, a percentage of people who were literally just doing it for function. Those initial mud tires.
Well, those original tires, they were one thing fits all market. Someone was using them professionally for use. Someone was driving them on the road because they looked cool. Someone was buying them just because that was the only tire they could find in that size. Later on, as those markets started to refine, that's when we got into the stickies and the performance tires. As
I
out
see what you're
west, we
saying.
got more popular and more serious. And as you get more and more people involved, they bring their money with them. Now people have to take notice. Before that, they made one product and they just expected it to be a Swiss Army knife and do everybody's job.
Well, and it was because I feel like, let's be honest, the bar was kind of low. We weren't using
So
our
low.
vehicles like we are today.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's the only kind of thing that I want to make sure that our listeners like totally get, because I think it's fascinating to me how that can be lost on some people, that they encounter their Jeep and their kind of foyer into the off-road experience where they're at right now in 2025. And it's like, yeah, you know what? 25 years ago, we didn't have half the tire technology that exists right here and now. Go 50 years ago, we had even less.
Yep.
And, how we're using the Jeep and how we're traveling 70, 80 miles per hour, you weren't expected to do that in your bogger, per se. You could, but...
You taking matters into your own hands.
Yeah.
It was very common back then that you would buy your bogger, you would buy your TSL, and you would get your hot knife out, and you would make more voids. And you literally had clubs that had a hot knife guy that knew the secret sauce for that terrain. And as that got more and more common, those tire manufacturers started taking notice. And that's where our tread patterns started evolving. And that's why Firestone still makes a tire that kind of looks like when they carved up one of those original tires.
Sure. And that's the thing is, and manufacturers, any viable manufacturer will progress to what the consumer market is doing. Retreading, not retreading, but regrooving tires within the general populace is less than what it used to be.
Absolutely.
I would tell you, just even 10 years ago, I knew a number of people who are still hot knifing tires, and I don't even see that anymore.
No.
And I think that's so fascinating because now you can just buy
A quality mud tire.
a quality mud tire of
Yep.
sorts.
And so to kind of let our listeners know, where are mud tires good and where are they not so good?
Well, they're good in the mud. They're not so good on the street, even though they look cool.
They're really good at in the show and shine.
Oh, they're banging in the show and shine. Just use your water-based protectant on.
Otherwise,
tires.
Greg will get you.
Oh my God! If you want to get
Oh.
Greg going,
It's against his religion.
if you use
A silicone or
not silicone,
petroleum.
petroleum-based tire shine, his eye will start to twitch. You just pull the bottle out, it'll twitch, and then you spray it on the tire, and the vein will pop.
Yes. Yes.
Even the silicone base, he doesn't like.
Yeah,
it.
he doesn't
Gotta
like
be water
silicone
based.
based.
Yeah.
Got to be water based. Got to be water based.
So it is good for mud. It is a common mentality that it's an off-road tire.
Yep.
But are there certain obstacles off-road that it actually can hinder you?
If you get it in sand, no bueno. If you get in a certain rock, depending on the hardness of the tire,
A wet rock
Firestone.
especially. Yep.
if you have a hard tire with lugs on it, it's just going to go up to the rock and spin on it
Yep.
and make smoke.
Yep.
Which is exciting. You know, burnouts are always cool.
Right.
but that does not get you up the rock. Even if you sit there and spin it on the rock for like a half an hour, and I've always heard somebody in the crowd, it's gonna get warm and sticky, and it'll go up the rock.
Not always.
Not always.
But if it's good in mud, then it's got to be good for winter wheeling, right?
no,
No,
Definitely not.
no,
definitely not.
because in the snow, if you dig to the bottom, now you're stuck.
Yep.
Because now the snow is in everything. It finds ways in the things that you just wouldn't imagine.
Also, it lacks, oftentimes, mud tires lack sufficient bites and sipes
Yep.
that will clean out the small ice and slush that becomes trapped in there.
And again, we're in a great world today with all kinds of tires. If you really want to see why this is the case, look at your Firestone destination and then look at a snow tire. You'll see real quick why in the world the Firestone is absolute garbage in the snow, which is why we just shake our heads that Jeep put it on a four-wheel drive vehicle in northeastern Ohio.
Right. On a production model
on a
sold on
production
dealer
model.
lots to an average consumer.
Yes.
So let me ask you this: can you get a mud tire that is also decent in snow?
You can find something that does okay in all methods, but is it the best choice compared to a tire specifically made for that purpose?
Ooh, that's a great contemplative, I'm trying to make you the comparison of a Dalai Lama. Yeah, it was totally a
avoiding
Scottism.
the answer.
So here's the thing. So it has a lot to do with the compound of the rubber as well, right?
Yes.
When we seek to have a Swiss Army knife of perfection,
You've got the compound and the siping.
right, we sacrifice somewhere else because siping is not always to our benefit when it comes to cleaning out, right? So big mud tires, we're really trying to have big voids of that void ratio. We're trying to make sure that we're not loading up the tire with again, slush, ice, mud, clay, and the sipes would load up theoretically in certain situations. But a softer rubber compound, and there's a number of manufacturers. Offhand, Cooper comes to mind. Cooper tends to be a softer compound. People like the compound of Nitto's. Nitto's compound tends to work well and allow those manufacturers to get the 3 Peak certification on a tread design that might be more aggressive, that might be more of a mud terrain suited design. So if they can create a compound that has good wearability, but the durometer of it is softer, meaning it's pliable but not going to burn off in summertime usage, because that's the other problem with stickies. Stickies will burn off if you're using them on the highway.
Right.
And if you're unfamiliar with what a sticky is, there is a line of tires that tire manufacturers have produced specifically for off-road utilization.
And those are the ones that back in the day when JP was a thing, and you'd see this tire and it was like folded over a rock.
Right.
It's like giving the rock a hug.
It is the equivalent of a dragster's rear tires
Yes.
when they, when that dragster loads up the tire and it
Wrinkles
finally
the sidewall.
locks up and wrinkles that sidewall. It's the off-road equivalent, if you will, for specifically rock terrain, whether it be slick rock or grippy rock. You're not technically or typically using, say, a sticky in a Baja situation. You're not necessarily doing a show and shine with a sticky.
And it was really common when those were really a thing, again, back in the magazine days, where you would rip a lug off the tire if your rock was too aggressive.
Yes. And so we're not talking about a compound that's so soft that it's burning off on regular daily use. And so this, for the tire manufacturers, it's this balancing act of trying to create a tire that meets the aesthetic and functional needs of today's market, while also making it, year-round utilization.
And really,
that's where the hybrid tire of rugged terrains become real popular.
Absolutely.
And they allow to give you almost that mud tire feel and look, but the compound that allows it to give you the durability and the lasting power of an all-terrain.
and specifically an aggressive sidewall design.
Correct.
Yes.
Right? And that's the other piece that's newish to the conversation.
And I really think that right there shows you that it's really not good for the mud terrain to try to do that. That's why they literally made another tire segment instead. When that demand started happening where they're like, well, I really want a tire that my bros aren't going to pick on me too hard at the Jeep meet. And I could go off-road, even though I'm not.
I'm
But
only
my-
going to go off-road once or twice a year.
But my mud tires are like driving me insane. My wife won't ride my Jeep, and I only got a year or two out of them because of, I screwed up my pressure and I wore them off on the road.
Sure.
So that's why the hybrids happened, so that people that really wanted a mud terrain, the guy that wants them on his truck, even though it's not a good idea, exists still. Because otherwise it would have such changed the mud tire, it wouldn't existed anymore.
So the back to the snow question, though, I wanted to specifically bring up that there's two different types of ratings that you can get with a mud tire. Besides just straight mud, you can get a mud and snow tire,
Yep.
and you can get a 3-peak mountain snowflake on your tire. They are two different designations.
And why that is the case, because snow actually, if anyone's built a snowman, snow will stick to snow. So if you can get some snow to stay in the tread and not immediately throw out, but there's a fine line there where you don't want it to become a snowman. So you have to have just enough snow in the tread that you can have it cling to the other snow to help you get forward progress, but not to become a snowball to impede the wheel well to make forward progress. So that is what he's talking about, is there is certain tread designs. At one time, a young Scott did really like his Winston MTs in the snow and would have swore on a book that was the best thing ever. No.
Well, and if it's mud and snow rated, that just means that they've designed it to work better in snow, but it's not been performance tested.
Correct.
Where if it has the 3-peak mountain snowflake, it actually has met a certain standard. It's a
and one-
minimum standard, but it's met a standard.
And one more thing on snow. The biggest problem with snow is, and I don't remember, I feel like I'm quoting somebody, but I don't remember exact words. You have light, fluffy snow. You have thick, nasty snow. You have sleet. You have all the above. So it is really hard to have one tire that works great
Across all of them.
across all those snow. And then if you get ice in the mix, just
And quite frankly, the individual who's down in the Everglades wheeling their Jeep in the swampy, offshoots of Florida
mud boggers.
doesn't give a flying fig about mud snow rating or snow or 3-peak
and
mountain.
he's
or
on
anything like that.
on his pit bulls.
And so the funny thing, whatever happened to pit bulls? Like,
Right?
honestly, I actually looked into it for a hot second, and I think they went defunct somewhere around the COVID run.
We should have a
It was
moment
such
of
a
silence for Pitbull.
cool looking. What's that?
We should have a moment of silence for Pitbull.
Okay, and that was enough. So it was a cool looking tire. I mean, talk about all the RC cars, all the RC people united over Pitbull tires.
Absolutely.
I think they sold more RC pit bulls than they did actual, for vehicular purposes.
Absolutely.
But, mud tires is an interesting piece, and in the sense that we have tires in general have premium manufacturing, and then they have economy line manufacturing. Obviously, within the industry, especially a tire that's potentially risk associated, meaning you could get into a bog and scrape on a rock or a piece of concrete or a stick, and you could blow open a sidewall. You don't want it to be super, super expensive. Also, if you're intending to drive that vehicle on the road and you're going to burn through tires every 2 years, you also don't necessarily want to be paying a $500-$600 tire every time.
But a mud tire is inherently more expensive.
But mud tires are inherently more expensive. But what we have done then is we've opened up the market to a whole series of import tire manufacturers.
Yep.
Probably most famously is going to be Milestar, and I'll just put it out there. And I feel like you've never, people have not obsessively talked about tires like the Milestar people have. Like I was
Oh my God.
involved in another one this morning.
It's one of those situations where if you change enough variables, you can prove your tire's good.
And I
Yeah.
do think I think that is honestly a factor. You know, when you go to the forums and you talk to people and they'll swear by a tire that you personally have had bad experience with, I think it does come down to there is a driving style that affects the way the tire operates. And
Yes, but
so
at
there's
the
the
same
general
time-
the general bell curve is going to fit under these rules of the tire, but then you may drive very differently than the general bell curve, and you may get a different experience out of
when,
that
when
same
you
set
have
of
someone
tires.
come in and be like, "Oh no, what we've been doing for the last 40 years is actually wrong because our tires are special, and we have to go the opposite direction to make them last." I start to get an aneurysm.
Right. But
Well,
I say
yeah.
you have these ends of the spectrum, right? And so you have affordable tires. You know, I hear Nathan's in our comments talking about his Kendas. Kenda actually has a pretty fair carcass design. The only problem I've had with Kendas to this degree is they appear, so far, our experience, to go out around more than a what I'll call a premium manufacturer, but they actually spin pretty decent. I've heard most people having a pretty good experience with them. I think they're a more robust compound, so they're not as soft for, say, that winter use, from what I understand or know about Kenda as a manufacturer. They're a big agricultural manufacturer overseas, and they're always an interesting booth at SEMA. Here in the States, they really like vintage vehicles for SEMA. I'm always amazed at their booth. The last few years, they've chosen like wagons or Willys pickup trucks and stuff like that. So I'm not really sure what's behind the Kenda team here in the States, but not a bad tire. But you have this kind of from affordable to then expensive. And I think it's interesting, the Goodyear Wrangler Duratrack, for example, which is not actually a mud tire.
Yeah.
It is technically more in the all-terrain sphere, but Goodyear does not have a more aggressive tire than
The MTR's dead.
the MTR with a Kevlar infused MTR.
Absolutely. Because
Nah.
Kevlar helps everything,
Yes,
It's less likely to be punctured.
because of such reason.
especially when you shoot at your tires.
Correct.
Well, we were talking about how tires and driving style. It's interesting to me. I talk to people who the Goodyear Wrangler Duratrack is, in my opinion, one of the first hybrid tires. And I did not think it was a great all-terrain.
No.
But
They're quiet.
well, I've actually had people who feel like they're loud. You know what I mean?
Well-
Or they wear through them fast, right? Well, it's an expensive tire by comparison. They don't have them
They're
in
very
used
proud
tires.
of all Goodyears.
Yes.
The funniest story just made me think of it. In a past life, I used to work on service vans all the time, and the drivers wanted meaty rear tires because they were two-wheel drive vans and they got stuck all the time. And we're talking, a typical industrial type straight tread steer tire is what most of these trucks had.
Sure.
So when you're on the back roads where their office was and they don't plow because it's Ashtabula,
Sure.
they got stuck all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they would put MTRs
Oh.
on the back of these vans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And MTR had its heyday in
we
the
should
Jeep
put that on
Chrysler.
Uncle Bob, our postal carriers.
Oh yeah, how many times we've had to push him out of the lot?
He gets stuck in the lot every winter.
Yes.
That poor man. I guess my thing is just whether it's an affordable tire, whether it's an expensive tire. I've heard people sling praise and criticism at those tires regardless.
Absolutely.
And I think it has to do. While I do think that certain quality control issues do arise, and I do think that that production batches and manufacturing and compounds do change or ever so slightly have interesting runs associated. We know from a conversation with our friends at Mickey Thompson that where their Baja line is made, it actually gets too hot in the summer to make tires. I think it's so fascinating, or to make this particular line,
Yes.
that
They
that
actually
is
shift production.
they shift production.
They literally get up and look at the temperature and go, nope, not today.
Nope, not for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and so. There is a human aspect of quality control that happens. They say that in some plant or factory elsewhere, maybe it's a little too hot, maybe it's a little too cold, maybe the machine runs a little too long or a little too short, or a tire doesn't get sent through the entire QC line, and you can get a bad tire, which can taint your experience as a customer service individual.
Yep.
It's not necessarily the fault of the retailer, the installation shop, or the whole manufacturing of the tires as a whole.
And then insert blems.
Which is why
every poor Jeeper has loved on a blem now and then.
if you're not unfamiliar, a blem is obviously short for blemish. The only one that just immediately comes to mind is Cooper. Cooper sells their blems into the aftermarket.
Yeah.
Interco and the Super Swamper series used to sell blems as well.
Yep.
They sold them for about half to third the cost of an actual, air quotes, quality checked tire.
Yep.
There was actually a number of individuals, specifically in Pennsylvania. I don't know why it jumps out to me in Pennsylvania. But I guess there's one in Ohio that I can think of, who their business model is selling Cooper blems.
Yep.
I wonder how that's changed or not with some of their big merger acquisition they've done at a corporate level, the Cooper itself. But there's a couple smaller businesses that they exist to sell blems.
And speaking of, it just made me think of it. Back in the day, you wanted a cheap mud tire, and it had to be a 37. And you had to find these special rims for.
Mm-hmm.
What were you looking for?
I
remember a young Neil.
oh, well,
So excited.
yeah, Humvee 16.5, man.
Yep.
And
they were an MTR at that time.
They were a Goodyear tire.
Yep.
And they were military spec Hummer tires, and I love them so much. And the funny thing is, if you are a Jeeper who's graced our community within the last 10 years, you might not even
Yep,
know that
no
16.5s were a thing
Yes.
at one time.
And 24 stud beadlocks.
Yes. Well,
Not those stupid
not those
stud.
8 or 12s,
Yes.
right? And then you went to 24s. You really wanted that high quality one, and there was so much to the beadlock.
Back to your blems conversation for a moment. Rob's saying Cooper used to sell blems, and he seems very sad about it.
I was going to say, does Cooper not do that anymore? Like I said, I wonder, because they've had a lot of corporate merger acquisition.
It's hard for the budget-minded Jeeper,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially in the last 30 years.
Yeah, we've seen things, on the rise. You could, and you still can, reasonably pick up these military tires for cheap on surplus auctions. But considering we don't have the H1 at that level, and we're not using these tires, and 16.5s are a bad. 16.5s have a bead design issue, is really what it comes down to, folks.
Yep.
Um,
Which makes perfect sense why the military used them.
It's such a weird conversation because
Like
they're
us.
actually not good for off-road.
Yes.
Inherently at a 16.5 wheel itself.
Fork.
By today's standards, if you've encountered the Jeep world, you are light years ahead of where we were
Oh,
even
so much
just
better.
15, 20 years ago, And that tread design, it actually lasts pretty well. It's actually a really pretty good design tire, the carcass itself. It's just not great for off-road purposes unless you have it on a beadlock specifically.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jeffrey, you had in your production notes about mud tires themselves as far as the values?
Just the fact that they are going to run hotter on the highway. They're gonna burn through the tread faster. So you're gonna replace the tread or the tires faster. You got to rotate them more often.
If they're old school tread designs on Firestone, they're going to be bad in the rain.
Yep.
I would caution you to, when you're looking, if you're in the market, kind of be conscientious about your intended use and purpose of these tires. Additionally, you're going to bite and sipe technology has only improved. And so I know we're really dogging on Firestone. They're the only ones who seem to not
They
get with
deserve
the
it.
times. that you got to look at their lugs.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Not even sponsored. We're going to get a cease and desist letter for this one, folks. But they, Bite and Sipe Technology, you can get a mud tire.
We can
with.
cease and desist when they cease and desist that tire.
There we go.
So, anyways,
So look for the Bites and Sipes if you are going to do a mud tire for kind of your Swiss Army knife rubber.
I did put a couple myths in this one. So myth: mud tires are always better off road.
Nope.
No, because they're great in mud and loose terrain, but they can underperform in snow, ice, and rock.
And I will
Slick rock
argue, if you're in
specifically.
that
Slick rock.
serious of mud, you might need ag tires. You might not need mud tires.
That's fair. And then another myth: bigger is always better.
Oh, you just did that just for Neil, didn't you?
I was going to say that clearly is not a myth. That is truth.
In reality, it can actually not be better because it could rob from your torque. It could hurt your drivetrain.
Oh, you
things
mean
like
when
that.
you build a
So-
Jeep?
So
you
these
make
are things-
you make up for that in cool points, and none of that is relevant.
So all I'm saying is that knowing that you're going to upgrade your tire size, you should consider what other upgrades need to go with it.
You should-
Because you should not put 44s on a stock axle.
I mean, you shouldn't build a Jeep with one tire size in mind and gear it and lock it and all that stuff, and then go, those look really dumb on there, and I need to put 35s on it instead of 33s, and now suddenly your gear ratio's off, and the whole build's just gone to stuff.
You
Scott
know I
did
don't
that.
care about the gear ratio.
Scott did
we're
that.
Not, we're not going to talk about that.
Scott did that.
He
So
did.
bad.
Just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
He did that.
Oh, and Nate's saying mud tires came in handy at Bantam this year. I'm sure they did.
Absolutely.
The golf carts needed mud tires this year.
Yes. Yes. There are a couple caveats. You know, there is a conversation if you ever look at some of our friends to the Greenland, Iceland-esque areas.
Oh, those guys are a whole different.
They're a whole different animal.
Yeah.
The tires are big flotation devices.
You just like them because they put really big tires on them.
You do. You know that, right? I mean,
I'm going
love
to
it.
differentiate on you which one is which because they're completely different types of terrain.
Well, honestly, I think that these guys are actually wheeling Greenland, but I don't 100%
Greenland
know
is
that.
more ice.
Correct, but I authentically believe that these individuals, and I know that actually they have a large representation in the 4xe community, which I think is
Really?
fascinating. Yeah, so they're actually. So here, you want to talk about myths versus realities? I would tell you on good accord, as an individual who spends a lot of time in the 4xe forums, that they are among the individuals who broke the cheat code on the gear ratio for the 4xes
Huh.
because they needed those giant flotation esque tires with aggressive lugs to go through through the terrain in the area. And there was actually a large population of 4xes. Now, why? I don't know why the 4xes end up there.
And that's also, if you haven't seen one of these, it's basically a wide body 4x4 with tires that make the 44s look small.
Correct. Oh, yeah, they're
Basically in a nutshell.
spectacular. And so we're talking. But, of course, they're moving very slow over the terrain,
Yes.
and it's intended to float over this soft permafrost-inspired terrain. But realistically, I genuinely don't know, and it's kind of doing a disservice for our listeners there. Maybe somebody in that vicinity will reach out and share with us whether those individuals. I could obviously fact check it myself, but I'd rather
That's
hear
not
from the
fun.
listener. Yeah, it's not fun whether it is specifically Greenland or Iceland, and I understand the differentiation in the names.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I just don't know exactly where these Jeeps, this conglomeration of massive Jeeps are offhand. But super cool tire design. Now, there was a Mickey Thompson tire at one time, which I absolutely... Was it Mickey Thompson or was it Interco? It was an all-terrain, and it was touted for sand, because I feel like we didn't talk enough about sand. Sand is also about flotation, right? So just talking about, these different designs and whatnot.
Just at the risk of sounding dumb, but whatever. Wasn't the Baja Claw known for sand?
Baja Claw absolutely was.
Which that was a Mickey Thompson?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It was the Baja Claw was a Mickey Thompson. Actually,
Directional mud tires.
And interestingly enough, it's one of the ones that is at this point in time, which feels really uncomfortable to me, is considered an iconic mud tire.
Yeah.
And so there are people who are doing period builds who are looking for new old stock or gently used mud claws. And there's actually just like the same group of guys who are looking for old school KCs. There's a group of individuals looking for old school mud claws.
I know for a minute the old school OE or stock MTRs were also that.
Yes.
For the guys wanting to restore their Rubicons.
Yes. For Rubicon restorations.
Which still hurts me a little.
But this was a tire, and I'm drawing a blank on it at the moment, and it's a great one that in the groups that I hang out in where bigger is better always. This was a big flotation designed tire with a swooping interlocking pattern, and it was intended to be an all-terrain tire. And it was just dismal. It worked nowhere. It might as well have been a non-directional tire, except for sand.
Yeah.
It was an excellent sand-based tire, but it was sold amongst the mud tire.
When you really
designs.
needed paddle tires, but you just wanted to drive it there.
Correct. That's exactly right. And so I think that there is a value in making that differentiation that mud tires that have this paddling, or to go back to your shovel-inspired tread design, do not always cross over well, because those sand paddle tires are all about high horsepower and fast digging, whereas most of your sand travel is not that, because if you do that on the Outer Banks, the locals are going to be very unhappy with you, because you're going to tear up the air quotes trail or terrain of the sand if you're doing that. The objective with that type of sand wheeling is to have flotation. So whatever the tire size is, you want to be down 6 to 12 psi, and you want to float on top of the sand to the best of your ability. And a mud tire is inherently not better in that terrain as well, but appropriate pressure will benefit you. Sand drags and mud drags are going to be different, right? So it's about picking the right combination for your specific interest. This was fun.
And if you want us to continue this and talk about hybrid tires and all-terrains and all that kind of stuff, go on, leave us a review, and let us know that.
Yeah, and you can reach us directly on our text-only number. Don't call it, but text us at 440-855-2100. You can call us 440-813-3663 extension 1, or you can obviously email us contact CONTACT at sfj4x4.com. You just log on to the website, buy your merch, leave us an email, do something like that, and let us know how we're doing and what other topics you might like to hear in the process. Like I said before, I'll look for friendly faces at Smoky Mountain. If we've never met before, this is a great opportunity to do so.
And let him know about topics you want us to hear us do.
Yeah,
and cover. That is always welcomed.
Because I'd like to talk about all terrains and how I feel about BFG these days.
Oh boy. Here we go.
But we have to hear from you. We have to know whether or not that's something you want to hear. I suppose we've got a bunch of Jeeps to build, and obviously we'll tell you about our weekend plans or what they were after the outro here. But we got to wind it up because we've got a lot to accomplish in a short period of time. Until next time, Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Jeep on.
So fitting just always works out this way. I was putting new tires on my wife's car. Some meaty tires.
Some meaty tires.
On her Subaru. And then I promptly screwed up and mounted them the non-meaty sidewall way, which Neil was not a fan of.
I was not.
He was not here for it.
No,
No.
Because did you do all four that way, or did
Absolutely.
you take my? God bless it. I said just drive around with one wonky tire.
Can't
Yeah.
do it.
He screwed up the first one,
Or just
which
break
is
it
fair.
down quick and fix it.
No, it was. We were having a party here Saturday night.
We were. Everybody
and,
was here.
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
I wasn't.
I know you.
I didn't get the invite.
You didn't. You were not invited.
It was a preemptu. You just had to be in the circle.
You had to had but like the nature of the universe and the vibes that were going on.
Gym Class Heroes was playing in Erie. I'm good.
Oh, that's fun.
But-
Now,
It was a good time though. You know, he was fixing wiper blades. My daughter was putting lug nuts on. My son was helping push down tires, and my wife was dismounting and mounting tires. So it was a family affair, as always. So
and we had my sister and brother-in-law were picking up their Jeep after. I mean, it was 9 o'clock at night or something. I don't even
You had
know.
a family reunion at 9 p.m.
Yeah, and we pulled in, and I was helping out a family friend of ours, and bay door was open. It was a beautiful summer night, and it was Grand Central Station. It was hysterical. But you know, we talked a couple weeks ago that Scott and Amy bought a new Subaru, and you know, nice machine, but you had negotiated the cost of some new tires into this you know transaction, and so we buy some tires. We actually put all-terrains on it.
yep.
Despite the fact that you know the average consumer would put just a standard passenger vehicle tire on there,
Yes.
and
It's very controversial on the Subaru groups.
sure,
Right.
and for the dealerships, right?
Absolutely.
Because it is always so fascinating talking to people who work in tire shops or dealership level stuff, that our understanding of what a meaty tire is,
Throw that out the window.
I mean, if it's not a industrial, you know, kind of straight tread design highway tire, they're thrown through a loop. They don't even know what to do with them.
They literally are on the Subaru groups going, I put BFG ATs on my Subaru, and is it going to be too loud now? I'm like, that's what we put on a Jeep when we want it to be quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap! Like, what? I'm having an out of body experience right now.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's to me mind-boggling that Subaru, which is touted as this great off-road capable vehicle, doesn't like all-terrain
Well,
tires.
their wilderness package tries slightly, slight.
That is aggressive
Like
for them.
lip service.
To,
you know?
to them, that's a mud tire, though.
Correct. I know.
Well, so anyway, so many of these tires, the way their molds are made, they have an aggressive sidewall, outer
They have
sidewall.
They have the party side and the
business.
business side.
And-
you went business side.
Well, he cobbed it up
accidentally.
by accident. He was tired. He was going through the motions, and it's late, and he mounted it with the business side out, or the versus.
Yeah.
I would call it the party side is the more aggressive side.
Correct.
But that's how I'm cut. You know,
Right.
my cloth.
I would have preferred the party side, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see how it balances, and it balanced beautifully. And I'm like,
And I was like, all
I'm
right,
not here
cool.
for
Don't
it.
break it down. You're tired. You got 3 more to go. Just mount the rest of them correctly. And I can't believe he did a thing.
we at the end of the day, we did agree it's our street vehicle. It's for the family trips. It doesn't need to scream, "Hey, I'm a bad butt off road." So we compromised.
Yep.
Less
Cool
work.
story, dude. That's awesome. hmm
So, but
Anywho,
the really important update for me is after like 3 to 4 years, I don't even know. I don't want to even think about it. My son finally got to take about 6 laps in his go-kart
woo!
I was
before
awesome.
it broke twice. And it's currently broken in the garage.
I feel that in my soul.
But at least he finally got to drive it.
He did. And, him and his sister, big smiles, driving around the backyard was all worth it. I purposely geared it so it was not going to do 100 miles an hour. I got to say, for, the enthusiast in me, I was not prepared to how slow it actually was.
Yeah, now you're going Tim Taylor things and you got a
No,
more power.
He needs to grow into it.
Okay.
He needs to get bored with the speed it is, and then we can make it better. But it is sadly slow. Like, I don't even think I could make the back step out if I wanted to. I tried a couple times.
So
and
do you know who
ironically-
actually broke the go-kart? Jeff?
I'm going with that guy.
Yeah. Scott's raising his hand for our listeners at home.
I mean, the chain did come off on Aiden twice, but I may have lost the master link because I goosed it going around a corner.
Well, now you know what it can and can't do and where you can make it better.
And just because the last time it broke, just to make me feel better, we did go around the block in the side by side, and I literally got up to Amboy and was like, wait a minute. So I actually had to turn signal on to go back home. I was like, I'm gonna go over and see if Neil's there,
Yeah.
and they were not.
We were not.
So I had to photobomb.
You did. Photobomb in front of my house.
That's awesome.
We're here. Where are you? Yep.
That's awesome.
And for my own purpose of the weekend, it was pretty underwhelming because I'm not going to be around this coming weekend, and it's right before school starts. My wife's a teacher. We did a lot of kind of did a lot of family stuff. Tried to enjoy the weather while we had it, but I keep toying and tiptoeing into building this little cheap TJ, and so I resurrected it out of my driveway this weekend, and I want desperately. People who are close to me know that I have a propensity to drive pieces of garbage.
Yeah.
And
He wants them to really be like at a certain level of garbage. Too.
correct.
Like
Correct.
his current daily, most people would say is hot garbage, but he feels
it's too nice for him.
pristine. It's too nice for me.
Power windows. And
I
they
know, and they work. I know. So I did get that Jeep out, and I did kind of show just the little ounce of love as opposed to just totally throwing it onto a trailer and going to womp on it off road, which is what I'd really like to do. But I am trying to get to that position where I can more confidently, get to some off-road events and not even an overly built or show-esque manner, but just kind of get out there and get in the woods a little bit, just because it's something I haven't been able to do much recently. So I did do that. Some general maintenance on some Jeeps. I had a nice blend of automotive and personal inspired stuff myself this weekend. Not too much on the house projects other than yard and life maintenance stuff.
Water
myself.
line looked really nice.
Yeah, thank you. Jeffrey, bring us home.
So I went to celebrate Erie for the weekend. With our partnership with Voodoo Brewing and our nonprofit, we were able to set up right there and be right on State Street in the middle of Celebrate Erie without having to pay for a booth space.
Mm-hmm.
We were directly across from what they call the living room stage.
Mm.
They actually have 4 stages for Celebrate Erie. They have living room stage, they have family stage, they had the Perry Square stage, and then they had the main stage.
But did they have grandma's couch in the living room?
They did not.
Right?
What a fail.
Right?
Yeah.
So
One job.
it was really cool being directly across from the living room stage because that is a lot of local artists, and the vast majority of them are either in our competition coming up or have been in our competition.
Mm.
So it was really cool to see that and to hear full sets of music from some of these artists that have competed with us. There was a great opportunity for networking. I got to meet a lot of great people, some up-and-coming stories, people that are building storefronts in Erie community and how that all works. There was a great rally of community support because Sunday morning a storm came through, and the current story is that a water spout actually made landfall and took out State Street, basically, which is where all the vendors are at. There was tents scattered for 3-4 blocks from where they originated.
Wow.
Merchandise up and down the street. It was chaos coming into it on Sunday, and the community that was there was all cleaning up, setting up tents, repairing tents on site, bringing new tents in for vendors.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, probably close to half, if not half, of the vendors did have to leave Sunday morning
Wow.
because of how much merchandise was lost. But there was still plenty to do, plenty to see. It was a great time. I had enough support for our table that I was able to walk around with the kids on Sunday.
Mm.
So that was cool. I haven't been to Celebrate Erie in a decade. So walking around with the kids and getting them to experience Celebrate Erie was a good time. There was a Sinai gym, which was really fun. They had an obstacle course, ninja course set up for kids. It was free for them to do. And so we set up the kids. And you're going to probably be able to predict exactly how this went.
Oh, God.
But I really wanted to share it. So we have Xander, Morgan, and Lily all lined up, ready to go. The Morgan wants to go first. He's eager to do it. So the guy that's there supporting all the kids and helping make sure they get through. They've got the side steps that you have to jump across as you run.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have the little bounce platform that you jump up and grab the rings, and then you go across the rings. They got the spinning wheel ring and everything, a couple of them. You go across that, then you run to the wall, and you have to run up and grab the rope and climb the wall.
Yep. Yep.
So it's a really fun little course.
Ninja Warrior course.
Yeah, it's perfect. The guy's there ready. He's supporting every kid as they go through. Morgan blazed past the guy, and he just threw his hands up. He's like, I can't even. There's nothing I can do to help him. He's done. He goes, Where's he involved at? I'm like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not. And they're like, well, he's taking ninja courses somewhere. Nope.
Yeah.
Well, he's got to have some experience. And nope.
Yeah.
They're like, get him in a gym now.
Yeah.
He basically set the record for the course. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
it was crazy. And then of course, Xander's next, and I mean, gotta love the kid. He tried. He tried his best. At one point, he's hanging on the rings and he's just spinning in circles. He's not grabbing the next one. And then Lily, our youngest, she made a pretty good effort, and she made pretty good progress through the course. They did it 2 or 3 times throughout the
Did
day.
Lily beat Xander in progress?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Xander's just his
such a kindred soul.
He's nice.
He's a great kid, but he is not athletic.
No,
Um,
no, he would be the one that, as someone else is struggling, he'd be commiserating and
Yes.
helping them.
and he
Yes.
was so defeated because he couldn't make it up the wall, but his hands were beat right because he just kept trying and he was
Yes.
determined. I finally had to stop him. I'm like, buddy, I love your determination, but there's a line of kids.
Yeah, that's right.
You gotta.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
And he tried it over and over again. And the last time of the day when we went back, he's like, I really want to get up that wall. And I'm sad that everyone else is. I was like, buddy, watch. There's 7 kids ahead of him. 1 of 7 made it
Yes.
up that wall. I was
Yes.
like, it's not an easy challenge.
I love that determination, though.
I was like, I love that you're determined to do it. But if you can't do it, it's okay. That just means you got to try harder and
Yep.
practice. And maybe next year we come back and you try it again.
Awesome.
So it was a lot of fun doing that, and then just finalizing some network connections coming forward. I've got Wednesday. I'll be on Erie News Now for their couch interview for our upcoming event, which is only 2 weeks away at this point.
Yep. Well, best of luck with that. As I mentioned before, if you guys are looking for a cool, just a somewhere to drive your Jeep and be involved in a neat community, you could head down to Jeff's event coming up Labor Day weekend. Otherwise, if you got plans, best of luck to you. It's a nice long weekend for camping or some other, outdoor Jeep journey inspired
Absolutely.
event. So, again, we got some busy stuff ahead of us, and we got a lot of Jeeps to get through before we can do it. So until next week, Jeep on.
Jeep on.